I looked at my calendar last week. It was full. Back-to-back meetings, project deadlines, a reminder to book a flight, a parent-teacher conference, and I felt successful. I felt productive. But then I looked at my phone. Messages from friends from weeks ago that I never replied to. And I had this really clear, very quiet thought. I'm connected to everything, except other people. What do you do with a feeling like that?
Most people try to fix it with a bigger calendar. They schedule a dinner, a call. They try to fit connection into the empty spaces.
Which feels like one more task, one more thing to manage.
Exactly. But the problem isn't your schedule. It's the way we think about the problem itself. We see loneliness as a feeling, an emotional problem.
It's not?
Not primarily. The science is very clear on this. Chronic loneliness is a physical health problem. It carries a similar risk profile to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It's more dangerous than obesity.
That can't be right. How is a feeling as dangerous as a physical habit?
Because it changes us physically. It increases inflammation, it suppresses the immune system, it puts the body in a constant low-level state of threat. We think of health as diet and exercise. We completely ignore the single biggest factor that predicts a long, healthy life, the quality of our social bonds.
So when I feel that sense of isolation, it's not just in my head. My body is actually responding to it.
Your body is treating it as an emergency. The question isn't how to schedule more social events. The question is how to build a system that prevents the emergency in the first place.
A system, okay. Where do you even begin? I think most people, myself included, think the first step is finding the right people. Finding your tribe, people you click with.
That's the belief that feels true, isn't it? That friendship is a search, a hunt for interesting, compatible people who share our hobbies and sense of humor.
Right. And it feels true because when we meet someone like that, it's exciting, it feels easy. So we believe that's the model we should be trying to repeat.
But think about why that model quietly fails for most adults. It turns connection into a high-pressure performance. Every coffee meeting is an interview. We're evaluating them, they're evaluating us. It's exhausting. And if the click isn't immediate, we assume it's a failure and we move on.
That's exactly what it feels like. It's work. It's networking, but for your personal life.
The new way to think is this. Deep connection is not a product of personality matching. It's a product of environment. The most powerful force in forming relationships isn't shared interests. It's simple, unstructured, consistent contact. It's all about proximity.
Proximity? Just being near people. That sounds too simple. My office is full of people. I live in an apartment building with hundreds of residents. I have proximity, but I wouldn't call most of them friends.
But is the contact unstructured and consistent? In an office, your interactions are almost always structured. They have an agenda, they have a purpose. True connection happens in the gaps. The walk to the coffee machine, the 5 minutes after a meeting ends. The university study that proved this was almost accidental. Researchers found that students were far more likely to become close friends with the person whose dorm room was next to theirs, or who sat next to them in class because of their last name. It wasn't about compatibility. It was about repeated, unplanned encounters.
So you're saying I should stop trying to find interesting people and just be around people more often?
You should focus on creating routines that ensure repeated, unplanned contact. Join a gym that's 2 blocks from your house and go at the same time 3 days a week. Get your coffee from the same small cafe every morning. Take your dog for a walk on the same route. You won't become friends with everyone, but you create the conditions where a spark of recognition can turn into a conversation, and a conversation can turn into something more. You're not hunting for friends. You're cultivating a garden where they can grow.
Okay, I can see that. It lowers the pressure. The goal isn't to make a friend today. The goal is just to show up. But what about the next step? Let's say I do that. I start seeing the same faces. We say hello. How does that become a real friendship? I think people believe you need to have these big, important conversations.
Yes, the deep talk. We see it in movies. 2 friends, late at night, sharing their biggest fears and secrets. We believe that's the gateway to true connection.
Because it feels significant. It's a clear sign that the relationship has moved to another level.
And because it feels significant, we wait for the perfect moment. We think, I can't just bring this up over a quick coffee. I need the right time, the right place. And so, the perfect moment never comes. We're waiting for an invitation to be close that is never going to arrive. The pressure to create a special moment actually prevents connection from happening.
That feels painfully true. I have things I'd want to talk about with people, but it feels too heavy to just drop into a casual conversation.
The alternative way of thinking is that depth doesn't come from one big moment of truth. It's built from dozens of tiny, almost unnoticeable moments. It's about slowly increasing your level of vulnerability.
Vulnerability. That's a scary word. It sounds like weakness, like oversharing.
We often confuse it with that, but true vulnerability isn't telling a stranger your darkest secrets. It's simply offering a little more truth than is required. When someone asks, "How are you?" instead of the automatic "Fine, thanks," you might say, "A little tired, actually. The week has been long." It's a tiny signal, an offer.
An offer for them to either ignore or ask more.
Precisely. It's not a demand for a deep conversation. It's a small crack in the armor. A friend of mine has a great rule for this. In any conversation, he tries to share one small thing that he's thinking but doesn't have to say. Not a complaint, not a secret, just a small, honest observation. For example, instead of just talking about a project at work, he might add, "Honestly, I'm a little nervous about the presentation next week." He's not asking for help. He's just sharing his emotional reality. It's those small acts that build trust over time.
So vulnerability isn't a single dramatic act. It's a habit of being slightly more honest in small moments.
It's the difference between showing someone your perfect finished report and letting them see the messy draft with all your notes in the margin. One is a performance, the other is an invitation to collaborate. That's how trust is built.
Okay, so we have proximity creating the opportunity and small moments of vulnerability building the trust. Then there's the part about keeping the friendship going. The common belief is that being a good friend means being helpful, being the person they can always call.
Yes, being the reliable one, the problem solver. It comes from a good place. We want to show we care, and offering help feels like the most direct way to do that.
And people admire that. They say, "He's such a good friend. He would do anything for you."
But that model often leads to burnout on one side and a sense of obligation on the other. If one person is always the helper and the other is always being helped, it's not a friendship, it's a service relationship. It's unbalanced. The hidden danger is that it prevents the helper from ever showing their own needs, and it can make the helped feel weak or indebted. It quietly breaks the relationship it's trying to build.
So what's the better model, if it's not about being the ultimate helper?
It's about creating a sense of balance. The foundation of a healthy long-term bond is reciprocity.
Reciprocity. So like, I help you, you help me? A transaction?
It sounds transactional, but in practice, it's about mutual flow. It means that both people in the relationship have the freedom to both give and receive. It's not about keeping score. It's about knowing that the support will flow in both directions over time.
Can you give me an example of what that looks like?
Imagine a friend is moving house. The helper model is you show up and spend 8 hours carrying boxes until you're exhausted. The reciprocity model might be different. You could say, "I can come for 2 hours in the morning to help with the kitchen. Would that work?" You're offering specific, bounded help. But then a week later, you might call that same friend and say, "I'm really struggling with a problem at work. Can I just talk it through with you for 15 minutes?
Ah, so it's not about the scale of the help. It's about the fact that the door swings both ways. It makes the relationship feel more equal.
Exactly. It communicates that your needs matter too, and it gives your friend the gift of being able to support you. We often forget that. Helping others feels good. By never asking for help, we deny our friends the opportunity to feel competent and caring. Reciprocity is the engine that keeps a relationship healthy for years, long after the initial excitement fades.
If this is all true, Sarah, if proximity, vulnerability, and reciprocity are the keys, why do so many smart, successful people still fail at this? They can build companies, they can run marathons, but they are deeply lonely. This system sounds logical, but it still feels difficult to apply when life is just so busy.
Because we treat social health as a separate category. We have a plan for our career, a plan for our finances, a plan for our physical fitness, and then if there's time left over, we try to work on our relationships. We see it as a luxury, the reward for getting everything else right.
Which never happens. There's never time left over.
Never. The shift is seeing that this system isn't separate from everything else. It is the foundation for everything else. When your social health is strong, your physical health improves. Your stress goes down, your cognitive performance at work goes up. Your creativity increases. It all works together with a sense of coherence.
Coherence. So the different parts of my life aren't competing for my time. They are supporting each other. Having a strong friendship isn't taking time away from my work. It's actually making me better at my work by reducing my stress.
That's the entire idea. Think of someone who feels deeply isolated. They might try to solve that feeling with their career, working harder to get external validation. Or they might try to solve it with intense exercise, but they are treating the symptom, not the cause. The feeling of emptiness doesn't come from a lack of achievement, it comes from a lack of connection. When you build the system of social health, the other parts of your life don't have to carry that weight anymore. They become what they were meant to be, not a substitute for human connection.
You know, some of what you're saying doesn't feel entirely new, but the way you're connecting it starts to resonate.
What part resonates the most?
The idea that it's a system, not a series of tasks. I've always thought about my friendships as individual relationships to maintain. I need to call John. I should text Maria. It felt like a list of duties.
And now?
Now I'm thinking more about my environment and my habits. The goal isn't to maintain a friendship with John. The goal is to build a life where the proximity I have with people like John allows for connection to happen more naturally. The same with reciprocity. I don't need to plan a grand gesture. I just need to make sure the flow of giving and receiving feels balanced over time. It makes the whole thing feel lighter.
Because you're not